turned that pain into passion.
After 15 years, police were able to find the decomposed body of Christie Wilson with the help of a tip from the murderer's family member. They were able to find her body on the murderer's property. Mario Garcia, the man who was convicted of murdering Christie, obviously buried her on his property after killing her.
Did you kill Christie Wilson?
No, I had nothing to do with her disappearance.
He then refused to disclose where he had buried the body.
No, I did not.
He was still trying to convince people that he was innocent. We are so grateful that the police officers didn't give up on the case and that they were determined to bring peace to Debbie Boyd and the rest of her family. We are so sorry for Christie's friends and family who have had to deal with the tragic loss of a loved one. Our hearts go out to you and hope you find some comfort in knowing that her body was found. Debbie Boyd, the mother of the murder victim, refused to give up on finding her daughter's body. She knew in her heart that they caught the man who did the unthinkable to her sweet angel, but she couldn't get the closure she needed knowing that her baby's body was somewhere out there.
I want my daughter back, and I want her back now. I may be 5'1" and blonde, but they've just met a barracuda, and the fight's on.
She just wanted her home so they could properly say goodbye and they could officially close the case to something that no parent should ever have to go through.
Was she in an ocean? Was she in a ditch? For 15 years, I never went to bed without wondering, where is she? Where did Mario Garcia put her?
We wanted to find her to show Mario, you're not going to win. You're not winning this, said investigator Don Murchison. We're going to find her and bring her home to the family. Garcia really made it difficult for the family to move on and tried to take more from the family even after he was convicted. He kept filing appeals because he didn't like his conviction. He was still determined to try to get people to believe that he actually wasn't the one to have murdered Christie. He tried to prove his innocence. At the hearing for Garcia, he said,
I suppose that at this hearing, I'm supposed to ask for mercy, for forgiveness, and to show remorse.
Debbie went on to CBS to give an interview, and during her time on air, she said, I now view him as a lost soul, and that I want him to know I often wonder how he ever became the man that he did. If Mario were to pass away with me not having had the opportunity to sit and just talk with him, I know I would forever regret it. Garcia somehow was able to get a hold of the interview, and so he wrote her a letter. He insisted that he was innocent and that he didn't have anything to do with her death. After spending several years in prison, Garcia wanted to use the body of Christie to help lower his prison sentence. Attorneys brought forth the idea to Boyd. At first, she was so desperate to find her daughter's body that she was about to agree to the deal. However, she then thought better of it because she didn't want her daughter's body to be some sort of bargaining chip. They continued to search, asked questions, and thankfully, all of their hard work paid off. The police investigators began reaching back out to the children of Garcia, and they were asking questions about what had happened in the days leading up to the disappearance of Christie.
How long have you been looking for Christie Wilson?
Since October of 2005, we pretty much have been continuing to look for her.
Chris, one of Garcia's sons, said that on Saturday he had a soccer game, but his dad was frantically working on his tractor. He didn't know what he was doing, and when asked if his dad would be attending his soccer game, his dad said, "I'm not going." The whole thing seemed really strange. The investigators asked if Chris would accompany them back to his childhood home, and Chris agreed. Chris showed the police where his dad was digging with his tractor. The police had searched the property, but they didn't notice any disturbance in the terrain. Garcia had 4 or 5 days from the day she disappeared to the day that the investigators showed up at his doorstep, so he was able to really do it right. He was able to make it look like it matched up with the surrounding terrain. The police even used cadaver dogs, and they didn't find anything. Back in 2020, police were able to go back to the property and they were still unable to find anything. Finally, with the help of Garcia's son, they were able to locate where exactly he had buried Christie those 15 years ago. The investigators started digging and they came across what looked like human bones. They called in archaeologist Cindy Arrington to confirm that the remains were human, and she said they were indeed human bones. Later, it was determined that the bones belonged to Christie Wilson. In the beginning, the police officers asked Debbie Boyd how she would want to be told if they were ever to find Christie's body. She instructed that they never simply call her on the phone. So instead, the men jumped on a plane and flew to Scottsdale, Arizona, and rang the doorbell at midnight. They were able to proudly tell Pat and Debbie Boyd that their daughter's remains were found on Garcia's property. What they knew to be true was finally confirmed. He indeed murdered their daughter and buried her on his property. So what exactly happened to Christie Wilson? Christie was 27 years old and currently living with her boyfriend, Danny Burlando. Many of her friends said that she was just so much fun and she could always make people laugh. Danny and Christie lived together, and Danny said that they were absolutely in love. She was currently in between jobs and was extremely low on money. Things were kind of rough for her during that time. Christie decided to have a night by herself at the casino on October 4th. She did have a brief conversation with Danny that night, but that was the last time he heard from her. He woke up in the morning and she still wasn't home, so he was leaving desperate messages on her phone and she wasn't responding.
At 10:15 on Wednesday. It's now been 24 hours since I talked to you last, and I'm worried sick about you. Please call me. If you're okay, call me. If you're not okay, call me. Let me know what's going on.
He called the police when she didn't return home. It seemed like she had just vanished. Police viewed the surveillance videos and saw her leaving the casino with Mario Garcia. They were walking together in the parking lot. Many people were confused as to why she would leave with a stranger. Some people suspected that maybe he had slipped something into her drink, but nobody knew for sure. When police officers located 53-year-old Mario Garcia, they were able to bring him into the station on a weapons charge. He was interviewed on her disappearance. He said,
Christie Wilson came and sat on my left between me and another individual.
She asked me,
We were at that table for a period of time until that table got hot. She asked me, hey, you want to go with me to another table? And I said, sure.
Their night of gambling ended just past 1 a.m. Wednesday, October 5th. Garcia claimed that he and Christie walked to his car and then went their separate ways. This was not corroborated by visual evidence. Mario Garcia was insistent that she never got into his vehicle.
Christie's pulled hairs was found in that trunk.
They were able to directly place her in his vehicle. Mario Garcia admitted to cleaning out the car around the time that Christie disappeared.
Why is it that the DNA from my sons, my wife, and other people that were in the car were not found?
He was hoping he would place some doubt in people's minds. The day after his night at the casino, many of Garcia's coworkers said that he came to work looking like he had been in a fight. He had a lot of scratches on his face.
Those are injuries that I received through poison oak and falling from a tree.
Even though their case was small, they still felt confident that they could charge him with murder, even though they didn't have a body. Somebody also came out from Garcia's past that impacted his case. He had an old girlfriend, Wendy Ward, come forward and say that he was extremely aggressive with her and tried to kill her. He ended up raping her and then bringing her back to his apartment where he put a gun to her head and...
Then he pulled the trigger. He says, well, it wasn't loaded this time, but basically I can come and get you anytime I want.
Thankfully, it wasn't loaded, but he said that he could get her anytime. He then raped her again, made himself a sandwich, and then drove back to her apartment. Garcia's wife even thought that he was innocent. She said that he was her destiny and they just had an incredibly strong connection. She told investigators that she didn't believe he could murder somebody because he was such a great husband and a wonderful father. He was really involved in their children's lives and incredibly interested in their sporting events. As the years went on, she started to believe that maybe he wasn't as innocent as she had once believed, and she filed for divorce. She said that she felt incredibly sorry for her children because they had to grow up knowing that their father was a murderer, and now they have to deal with the fact that he buried a woman's body at their childhood home. In the end, Mario Garcia was charged with 59 years to life, and no matter how many appeals or pleas to get out of prison earlier he had, he is going to be stuck in there for his entire sentence. He will die behind bars. We are hoping that Debbie Boyd can sleep better now that she knows her daughter's body is in a safe place and is no longer buried in Garcia's yard.